If you're over 65, what I'm about to share could fundamentally change how you protect your brain health. Every morning, millions of seniors unknowingly put themselves at risk for stroke through simple everyday habits they've never questioned. As a neurologist who has spent 3 decades caring for older adults, I've witnessed how these small morning routines can make the difference between maintaining your independence and losing everything you've worked for. Stroke doesn't always announce itself dramatically. Sometimes it begins quietly, building through years of unnoticed stress on your brain, particularly during those vulnerable morning hours when your body is transitioning from sleep to wakefulness. Today, I'll guide you through 5 critical morning mistakes that significantly increase stroke risk in seniors, and more importantly, I'll show you exactly how to protect yourself starting tomorrow morning. The first critical mistake: dismissing morning warning signs. Every morning, your body sends you messages. Some are whispers, others are shouts. But for many seniors, these signals get brushed aside as normal aging. This dismissal could be the most dangerous decision you make. Consider what happened to Harold, an 82-year-old retired firefighter I treated last year. One Tuesday morning, he noticed his coffee mug felt oddly heavy in his left hand. His words came out slightly slurred when he spoke to his wife. He felt a strange tingling in his cheek. Harold did what millions of seniors do every day. He shrugged it off, blamed it on sleeping wrong, and went about his morning. 48 hours later, Harold suffered a massive stroke that left him permanently paralyzed on his left side. He lost his ability to speak clearly. His weekly fishing trips with his grandson ended forever. He now requires round-the-clock care, not because he was unlucky, but because he ignored his body's desperate warning signals. What Harold experienced that morning was likely a transient ischemic attack, commonly called a mini-stroke. Think of it as your brain's emergency alarm system. The blood flow to part of your brain gets temporarily blocked, causing brief symptoms that often disappear within minutes or hours. Many people feel relief when the symptoms pass, thinking the danger is over. They couldn't be more wrong. Research shows that 1/3 of people who experience a transient ischemic attack will have a major stroke within 1 year. Most occur within the first 2 days. The highest risk time for these warning signs is early morning, when your blood pressure naturally fluctuates, your blood is thicker from overnight dehydration, and your brain is still adjusting from sleep. Morning symptoms that demand immediate attention include sudden weakness or numbness in your face, arm, or leg, especially on one side. Unexpected confusion or trouble speaking clearly. Vision problems in one or both eyes. Dizziness, loss of balance, or coordination problems. A severe headache with no known cause. If you experience any of these symptoms, even briefly, don't wait, don't minimize, don't hope they'll pass. Call your doctor immediately, or have someone drive you to the emergency room. Write down exactly what you felt and when. This information could save your life. Remember, your brain doesn't get second chances. Once brain tissue dies from lack of oxygen, it cannot regenerate. The functions controlled by that area, whether it's speech, movement, or memory, may be lost forever. But when you catch these warning signs early, medical intervention can prevent the devastating stroke that might otherwise follow. The second critical mistake: mismanaging essential medications. Your morning medications aren't suggestions. They're precisely timed interventions designed to protect your brain during its most vulnerable hours. Yet I regularly see patients who treat their pill schedule casually, not realizing they're gambling with their lives. Let me share what happened to Evelyn, a 76-year-old retired nurse who should have known better. She managed her high blood pressure with daily medication for years. But living alone after her husband passed, she sometimes forgot her morning dose. Her solution seemed logical: take 2 pills the next day to catch up. One morning, after skipping her medication for 2 days, Evelyn woke with a crushing headache, her vision blurred. She couldn't form words properly. By the time paramedics arrived, she was experiencing a hemorrhagic stroke, bleeding in her brain caused by dangerously high blood pressure. The double dose she'd taken that morning had created wild swings in her blood pressure, further damaging her fragile blood vessels. Evelyn survived, but she couldn't speak for 6 months. She still struggles with basic tasks that once came naturally, all because she didn't understand the critical timing of her medications. Your morning blood pressure naturally surges as your body prepares for the day. This surge begins around 4 in the morning and peaks between 6 and noon. For older adults with stiffened arteries or existing cardiovascular conditions, this natural rise can push blood pressure into dangerous territory. That's why many blood pressure medications are prescribed for morning use, to counteract this surge before it can damage your brain's delicate blood vessels. Cholesterol medications, blood thinners, and heart rhythm drugs follow similar critical timing. Skipping them leaves you unprotected. Taking them late means you've already exposed your brain to unnecessary risk. Doubling up can cause dangerous drops in blood pressure or internal bleeding. The solution is straightforward but requires commitment. Set multiple alarms on your phone. Use a weekly pill organizer with compartments for each day. Keep a medication log. Take your pills with a full glass of water, never dry and never with just coffee. If you travel, pack extra medication in multiple bags. Never assume you can skip a day because you feel fine. Consider this. Every morning you take your medications correctly, you're building a wall between yourself and stroke. Every morning you don't, you're removing bricks from that wall. Eventually it will collapse. The question is whether you'll be ready when it does. The third critical mistake, starting your day with coffee alone. That first cup of morning coffee feels like an old friend. Warm, comforting, energizing. But when coffee becomes your first and only morning ritual, especially on an empty stomach, you're creating a perfect storm of cardiovascular stress that your aging brain may not survive. Charles, a 77-year-old veteran, learned this lesson almost too late. For decades, he started every morning with 2 large cups of black coffee, nothing else until lunch. He prided himself on this routine, believing it kept his mind sharp. One morning, midway through his second cup, Charles felt his heart racing uncontrollably. The room spun. He collapsed, experiencing a transient ischemic attack triggered by irregular heart rhythm and blood pressure spikes. Here's what Charles didn't understand, and what many seniors don't realize. Caffeine on an empty stomach hits your system like a shockwave. Without food to slow absorption, caffeine rapidly enters your bloodstream, triggering your adrenal glands to release stress hormones. Your heart rate increases. Your blood vessels constrict. Your blood pressure rises sharply. In younger adults, these changes are manageable. But in seniors, whose blood vessels have lost elasticity and whose hearts may already struggle with rhythm issues, this morning caffeine assault can trigger atrial fibrillation, dangerous blood pressure spikes, or sudden drops in brain blood flow. Coffee also masks important warning signs. That morning fatigue might be telling you about poor sleep quality or emerging health issues. The slight shakiness could indicate low blood sugar or medication side effects. But caffeine covers these symptoms with artificial energy, preventing you from addressing underlying problems until they become emergencies. Moreover, coffee is a diuretic. Starting your day with it means you're beginning already dehydrated from 8 hours without fluids, then actively promoting more fluid loss. Your blood becomes thicker, more prone to clotting. Your brain, which is 75% water, cannot function optimally when dehydrated. The fix doesn't mean giving up coffee entirely. It means respecting its power and timing it properly. Start every morning with a full glass of water. Eat something substantial. Whole grain toast with peanut butter, oatmeal with fruit, or eggs with whole wheat toast. Then, and only then, enjoy your coffee. Limit yourself to 1 cup in the morning, avoiding added sugars and excessive cream that can cause blood sugar spikes. This simple sequence change could be the difference between a normal morning and your last independent morning. Your brain needs steady, sustained energy, proper hydration, and stable blood pressure. Coffee alone provides none of these. In fact, it actively works against them. The fourth critical mistake: ignoring your body's urgent signals. This might sound unusual, but holding your morning urine is far more dangerous than most seniors realize. What seems like a minor delay can trigger a cascade of cardiovascular stress that significantly increases stroke risk. Dorothy, a 79-year-old widow, had developed a morning routine that nearly killed her. She would wake up, check her emails, read the news on her tablet, and have her coffee before finally going to the bathroom. She didn't want to interrupt her peaceful morning ritual. What Dorothy didn't understand was that her full bladder was creating a medical emergency inside her body. When you hold urine, especially first thing in the morning after hours of accumulation, your body interprets this as stress. Your nervous system responds by releasing adrenaline and cortisol, the same hormones released during danger. These hormones cause immediate cardiovascular changes, blood vessels constrict, heart rate increases, and blood pressure rises significantly. For older adults, whose blood vessels are already less flexible, and whose blood pressure regulation is often compromised, this internal stress can be catastrophic. The pressure doesn't stay localized to your bladder. It affects your entire cardiovascular system, with your brain's blood vessels bearing much of the burden. Research has shown that a full bladder can raise systolic blood pressure by as much as 15 points. In someone with existing hypertension or atherosclerosis, this spike can trigger a stroke. Additionally, the strain of holding urine can trigger atrial fibrillation in susceptible individuals, creating conditions for blood clots to form and travel to the brain. One morning, after holding her urine for over an hour while finishing her morning routine, Dorothy stood up and immediately collapsed. The combination of bladder pressure, sudden position change, and existing cardiovascular stress triggered a hypertensive crisis and minor stroke. She survived, but lost significant balance and coordination that she never fully recovered. The message is simple but critical. When you wake up and feel the urge to urinate, respond immediately. Don't check your phone first. Don't make coffee first. Don't read the news first. Your bladder's morning signal is not a suggestion. It's a medical priority. This isn't about convenience or comfort. It's about preventing unnecessary cardiovascular stress during your brain's most vulnerable time. Every minute you delay increases the pressure on your entire system. And for seniors, that pressure can be the difference between a normal day and a life-changing medical event. The fifth critical mistake: rising too quickly from bed. The way you get out of bed might be the most dangerous 30 seconds of your day. After a lifetime of jumping up with purpose and energy, it's hard to accept that this simple action now requires careful thought. But for seniors, those first moments of standing can determine whether you'll have a normal day or suffer a devastating fall or stroke. Let me explain what happens inside your body during those critical seconds. Throughout the night, your cardiovascular system operates at a relaxed pace. Your heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, and blood pools in your trunk and legs. Your brain has been horizontal for hours, receiving steady blood flow without fighting gravity. The moment you stand quickly, gravity immediately pulls blood away from your brain. In younger people, the body compensates instantly, constricting blood vessels and increasing heart rate to maintain brain blood flow. But in older adults, this compensation system often fails or responds too slowly. The result is a sudden, dangerous drop in brain oxygen. Robert, a 74-year-old farmer, had risen before dawn his entire life. He prided himself on being out of bed and moving within seconds of waking. One morning, he stood as quickly as always, took 3 steps, and collapsed. His wife found him unconscious on the bedroom floor. The sudden position change had triggered a severe drop in blood pressure, causing a stroke that left him unable to speak clearly or walk without assistance. This condition, called orthostatic hypotension, affects up to 30% of people over 65. It's even more common in those taking blood pressure medications, diuretics, or dealing with diabetes or Parkinson's disease. The symptoms can be subtle: brief dizziness, temporary vision changes, or a floating sensation. But the consequences can be catastrophic. Beyond stroke risk, sudden standing can cause falls that result in head injuries or hip fractures. For seniors, a hip fracture carries a 20% mortality rate within 1 year. Even those who survive often never regain their previous independence. The prevention strategy is remarkably simple but requires breaking decades of habit. When you wake, remain lying down for 30 seconds. Take several deep breaths to oxygenate your blood. Slowly move to a sitting position on the edge of your bed. Sit there for at least 1 full minute. Flex your feet, make fists, and gently move your shoulders to activate circulation. Only then, stand slowly, keeping one hand on a stable surface. These 2 minutes of patience could save your life. They allow your cardiovascular system to adjust gradually, your blood pressure to stabilize, and your brain to receive consistent oxygen throughout the position change. It's not about being frail or fearful. It's about being smart and protective of the independence you've worked so hard to maintain. Protecting your future, one morning at a time. After 3 decades of treating older adults, I've learned that strokes rarely happen without warning. They build through thousands of small decisions, seemingly innocent habits that slowly wear down your brain's defenses. The tragedy isn't that strokes occur. It's that so many could be prevented with simple awareness and small changes. Every morning presents you with choices that either protect or endanger your brain. Dismissing that dizzy spell or unusual weakness might seem like strength, but it's actually denial that could cost you everything. Casually managing medications, treating them as suggestions rather than lifelines, leaves you vulnerable during your brain's most critical hours. Starting your day with coffee alone, ignoring your body's basic needs, holding urine unnecessarily, or jumping out of bed like you're still 30, these aren't signs of vitality. They're unnecessary risks that compound over time. You've worked hard your entire life. You've raised families, built careers, contributed to your communities. You've earned the right to enjoy your senior years with clarity, independence, and dignity. But that future isn't guaranteed. It must be protected, especially during those vulnerable morning hours when your brain needs the most support. The changes I'm suggesting aren't dramatic. Respond to warning signs immediately. Take medications consistently and correctly. Hydrate and eat before coffee. Listen to your bladder's signals. Rise from bed gradually. These aren't restrictions on your freedom, they're investments in your future independence. I've seen patients in their 80s and 90s who remain sharp, active, and independent because they respected these simple principles. I've also comforted families devastated by strokes that could have been prevented if only someone had known what to watch for and how to respond. Tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, you have a choice. You can continue with habits that silently increase your stroke risk, or you can make small adjustments that protect your brain for years to come. The morning routine you choose today determines not just how you'll feel tomorrow, but whether you'll maintain the independence and mental clarity you treasure. Your brain has served you faithfully for decades. Now it's asking for your help. Simple awareness, small changes, and daily consistency. That's all it takes to build a protective barrier between you and stroke. Every morning you follow these guidelines is a morning you've chosen your future over convenience, wisdom over habit, and protection over risk. The power to prevent stroke isn't in dramatic interventions or expensive treatments. It's in the quiet, consistent choices you make in those first precious minutes of each day. Your mornings matter more than you know. Make them count.